Jana, we're
Yes.
spotlighting you today. We're talking about what it takes to enroll 100 people into one offer.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
isn't like a $37 offer. This is a high ticket offer, right? What would
Yeah.
you
I
consider
mean, yeah, as they
mid-ticket?
go. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think those terms are subjective, but
Yeah.
a year and a half roughly ago, we'll talk more about the details in a few minutes. I gave birth to high leverage content, my
Such a
course
good
with
program.
support. Thank you. It's my course with support, and it is a 997 course with support, and you get a lifetime access for that 997. So yeah, it's not a $37 product,
Hmm.
also not a, multi-thousand-dollar product. So yeah, maybe it's called mid-ticket. So yeah.
That's so exciting. And I cannot believe it's already been a year and a half since you soft launched it. It does
Right.
not seem like that should be the case.
Yeah. It's funny because to me it seems like it's been longer.
The Academy turns 4 in May of next year,
Okay, great.
and
That's
high leverage content will turn 2
Yeah, that's
around
right. Oh, we
May.
should maybe we'll have birthdays
We'll have
for our
program birthdays.
for our babies.
It really does feel like a baby at this point
Mm,
for
mm,
me, like my
totally.
program, and I know yours does as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I've got some questions for you,
Okay.
and I want to first know
hmm
just a bit about the program and
hmm
like who you serve before I dive into this list of questions. That way people have some context.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for asking. So it is high leverage content is a course with support, and it is for coaches and service providers, and strategists and people like that, people who do service-based businesses. So it's not
Yeah.
really for product-based businesses. I do have a couple of people who've joined because they wanted to learn from me that are product-based businesses, and they do adapt it
Yeah.
to their needs and like it, but I really created it for coaches and service-based businesses. And I really created it to answer the questions, or to help solve the problem that I know a lot of people, coaches and service providers have, which is like I'm either creating a ton of content and it's not really converting as well as I want, or I am not really creating a lot of content. And usually for most of my audience, that is coming from a place of like, I don't want to waste time and I don't know what to actually say in my content to get it to convert. So I decided to take what I had been doing in my own business and for clients for 8+ years, and I'll tell you a little more about that story later, but
Yeah.
and put it into a program to help people figure out how to create long form content that is high converting and that you can reuse and repurpose on repeat. So basically, what we do is we create a small but mighty suite of 12, some like between 12 and 20, but I say 12. Some of my students want to write more, and that's okay. Long form content pieces, blog posts mostly, that are high converting based on specific formulas that I've used and have seen convert for myself and clients over the years. But there's a lot of room for flexibility and, making sure that your expertise shines obviously in those formats as well. We don't use templates, we use outlines. So that's a little bit, we'll get into that. And basically the idea is, this content is stuff that is high converting, first of all, and that you can use on repeat so that you can get off the constant content hamster wheel and do a lot more of that repetition that we always talk about on these lives where, when you repeat your main messages, assuming that your main messages are high converting to begin with, which they will be if you do high leverage content, then, you make more money when you repeat your main messages rather than trying to crank out brand new content all the time about new things.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I that's really who it's for and what we do inside. And yeah, that's the scoop.
It's
And
so
people are
good.
loving it. Thank
It's
you.
so good. Otherwise, you wouldn't have convinced 100 people to enroll. Um,
Yeah, and actually, the 100th person enrolled in June of this year. And
wow.
we've been planning to do this live stream, you and I, for a while, and
Mhm.
it got moved forward a little bit here and there. But at this point, I've had about 134 people enroll. But I think that 100 number is just the place where all of a sudden, when that happened, I was like, whoa, this is real. And like, I'm helping a lot of people in a really powerful way. So I celebrated at that point, and I'm really still celebrating the
You
fact that that many
should.
people have enrolled. Thank you.
You
Thank
should. It
you.
took me well over a year to get consistently 100 people like active in my membership. It's slightly different a membership model, like because you want
Yeah.
people actively in there.
hmm
It took forever.
hmm
And once we kind of got past that, those threshold numbers, those big numbers, it just
hmm
feel like I've served almost 800 people in three
Amazing.
years.
Whoa. So you're
Yeah.
saying you feel like it kind of snowballed. Like in the beginning, it felt a little bit like pushing a rock up a hill, and then
Yeah.
you get to a plateau, right? And then it's easier to
Mhm.
push the rock, and then you start seeing the snowballing, like where it's like, oh, now there's like a little bit of a downhill, and it's like easy. The rock almost goes by itself,
Mhm.
right? And you're just there to spot it. Yeah.
So if it's 18 months old, that
Hmm.
means the 100th person joined in June. So what was it,
Right.
11 months to get 100 people?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I had asked my audience a while back, like what they wanted to know about this, because I wanted to like reflect on what it took to get
Yeah.
100 people. And that was one of the things someone asked right away was how long did it take and to get 100 people? And yeah, exactly. It was about a year because, and I don't know exactly whether it was 11 months or a year, but I opened the doors for the first time in June of 2023.
Yeah.
No, yes, that's right. Sorry. Yes, in 2023. And then by June of 2024, that was when I welcomed my 100th person in. So yeah, it took about a year. Yeah.
Incredible.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to actually create the course content? Because you have a
Yeah.
very strategic approach to your content strategy.
Yeah, true. So how long did it take me to like create the course itself? And it's interesting. I was also asked that question, and it makes me giggle a little bit because I feel like you can interpret that question a couple different ways. I think the
Mhm.
way that people mean it is like when you sat down and started creating it, like how long did it take you, how many hours, how many weeks, or whatnot to actually get the course like
Yeah.
ready for people to be actually, to enroll? Because for a lot of people that feels like a lot, and it is.
Mhm.
But for me, when I hear that question, how long did it take to create the course? I almost think like, well, it was a really long time in the making because um, that summer of 2023, when I finally decided to teach this system that I had been using for myself and for clients for 7+ years to create high converting long form content, blog posts. The system also works really well for podcast episodes and YouTube's as well, but like 95% of my students are writing blog posts.
Yeah.
Um, I did not take the decision lightly to create it because I had been a Pinterest strategist solely, really, for many years. And I was doing content behind the scenes for myself and for clients, but I was really um, outwardly marketing myself. Like if you went to my website and you saw what my emails were about and things like that, I was selling my Pinterest course primarily, right? So, and Pinterest consulting services. So that's what I was really known for. And I'm one of those people, and I know a lot of people can relate. I know you can, Heather, because you and I are like you're steadfast like me. Once I'm known for something, I really feel like I want to make sure that I don't necessarily I don't want to pivot a lot. There's a lot of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs that pivot a lot, and that's fine, but that's not for me. So I did not take it lightly, but I definitely at a certain point, I think what happened was for me, the tipping point was I had people asking me not only what should I pin on Pinterest, and my original answer was always like, oh, everything, blog posts, you can now pin social posts, you can pin landing pages directly, you can pin your sales
Mhm.
page, you can pin guest podcast episodes, blah, blah. But then really when it came down to it, I would answer that and people would go, okay, but what do I pin? And I was like, I just told you, you know? And I finally realized that the disconnect that was happening is they actually really wanted me to tell them what should be in the content they were pinning. Like
Ah.
what, like if I go through this whole process, Jana, of like strategically creating a Pinterest profile and designing pins in Canva, whether I love that or hate it, some people love it, some people hate it. And I write these optimized pin descriptions so more people see the pins and I use the right keywords and I did the keyword research the way you taught me and everything. Is all of that going to be worth it? Like when I get the eyes on my content from that, how do I get clients, right? That was the disconnect for a lot of people. And I know a lot of Pinterest managers can relate to that because
Mhm.
as a Pinterest manager, it's your job to get the traffic basically, right?
Right.
And so people were asking me so much that other leg of it, that what happens after. And that's when I finally, after years of like kind of helping people with that on the side, and then also working directly with some clients, including Kay, who I was a content manager for years. And of course, writing my own content that was high
Yeah.
converting, I finally was like, okay, I'll pivot and decided, yeah. So it took me a long time to create the course, if you will. But when I sat down and started actually, once I made the commitment to do it, I cleared my schedule and it took me about 2 weeks to do it working full time. So it was
Wow.
about like planning the content. So I probably, dedicated like 5 to 6 hours a day for 2 weeks on actually doing it. So I'm like, okay, analyzing what it is that I've been doing,
Hmm.
kind of productizing or systemizing it in some ways. It was already, of course, for me systemized, but I needed to turn that into something that could be that I could use to teach others, right? The frameworks and things like that.
Yep.
They were already there. I was using them, but I wasn't really teaching them yet. And when you turn to teach something, you realize you need to put it into words in a different new way. And then, really planning like where are people when they start this course, where do I want them to end up? And then what are all those steps that I want to teach them in between, making sure that I'm teaching them everything they need, but not everything that they don't need, because I know a lot of people,
Hmm.
we make the mistake sometimes of like overstuffing courses. And I've done that
Yeah.
in the past, but that's not me anymore because I'm a seasoned course creator now. So when you get a course from me, you know that it's, everything you need and nothing you don't, and it's going to get you from point A to point B, like I promise in the marketing. So making sure that it took people on that journey, gave them everything they need, recording the videos, doing the slides, recording the videos, doing like the over the shoulder tutorial types of pieces, creating the worksheets and outlines, things like that. Took me about 2 weeks full time to do that. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
after it was done, you probably
Yeah.
breathe a sigh of relief, and then you were like, okay, now I have to do the sales page.
Right, exactly. That is so true. That is how we feel when we create a new course. It's so exciting creating it, and you're imagining all the amazing results people are going to get with it and everything. And then one day you're like, I can't believe it's done. And I leave a message for you and maybe one for my friend Wendy saying, you'll never guess, like the whole course is done. Like I did it. It's set up and teachable. And then it's like, okay, now I got to market it. Not that that's a bad thing. I love marketing, so I'm happy to do it. But yeah, it's like you're spent. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then you have to like, yeah. So I guess the seasoned entrepreneur knows that that's going to happen, and builds in some space to get some rest and do some other things before turning to do the marketing piece. So
That's so exciting though.
yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, so couple weeks to a year to get 100 students, a couple weeks to create the
Mhm.
content. Where did you
Yep.
find people to buy this?
Yeah.
Because you had primarily, like you mentioned, been doing Pinterest for so long. Did you
Mhm.
have existing audience you could tap into? Did you need to
Yep.
list build to get new people? What did that look like?
All yeses. Yes to all that. And I'm really glad you asked this question too, because I also, again, asked this, a lot of people in my audience said it exactly that way. They said like, where did you find the people to sell to? That's really how people think about it. And if you, haven't necessarily been building an audience, or if your audience isn't aligned, then it does feel like you're going out and finding people to sell to, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay, right?
Yeah.
We are always pulling two different levers in our business. It's like we're selling to people and we're growing our audience at the same time. And that's normal. That's the way things work. So I
Hmm.
don't want anyone, I am about to say something that's basically like, yeah, you need an audience, but I want to make sure I'm clear. Like, but the way to build an audience is to get visible and start building the audience. You don't want to
Yeah.
like wait to do anything until you have an audience. So, but yeah, interestingly, I mean, sort of surprisingly, even though it made sense logically, it still sort of surprised me in my gut, in my heart, that most of the coaches and strategists and service providers who were already on my email list and in my audience from Pinterest also wanted to know how to quickly and more easily create high converting content without wasting a lot of their time on cranking out a lot of content that doesn't work. So, um, thinking about like, and what I just said is sort of like some of the messaging really pieces around what this is.
Hmm.
People responded really well, to those messages, and others that I have as well. So, yeah, I found that the audience that I already had was very aligned.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm sure that I probably got some unsubscribes and then some unfollows. I don't pay much attention to that when I started talking more about content and less about Pinterest, but like that's okay. I was still talking a little bit about Pinterest, and the two are very connected, as
Yeah.
we know, because we both teach Pinterest and we've been doing this for so long, and our listeners and readers also really know that like content like Pinterest doesn't really end up working that well for you if you don't have a lot of quality content, depending on your niche and your monetization method, but you need that.
Yeah.
So my audience was pretty savvy to that, and it turned out I had a lot of people in my audience who already wanted this, which was great. And the takeaway there, I think, is, well, there's two things. One is like, well, okay, so I had some people, and the two things are similar, but even if you are creating something new and it's not that similar to what you were doing before, I've heard some people say, and I think there's some truth to it, although this is a little bit flawed, but I've heard people say like you are the niche. I don't really totally agree with that, because I think you need to find your niche outside of just like I'm the niche. But there is a little bit of truth to that in this situation, in the sense that people who loved learning Pinterest for me, they also wanted to learn this for me. And honestly, if I turned around and created something about Facebook, they probably would want to learn that too, because they like my teaching style, which is great.
Yeah.
So that's really the takeaway, is like, your audience, even if you pivot, your audience is still going to stick with you, a certain portion of them. So, but yeah, a lot of people were in my audience already. And I also knew that because I was pivoting, I wanted to focus even more than I had been on audience growth strategies. And that's when I decided to start doing the 3 times per year micro audio summits to grow my list.
Yeah.
Um, I am still getting a lot of signups to my list every day from Pinterest, some from Google SEO, some from all the podcasts that I did over the years. So a lot of that groundwork that I had laid over the years for
Hmm.
content that or list building growth that happens on autopilot, because like Pinterest, Google, right, that stuff happens on autopilot, YouTube. It paid off, and it still continues to pay off with audience growth. But I also decided to add in like a quick organic strategy, which for me has been the hosting my micro audio summits.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I think the last launch that I had 34 students sign up, and I think 8 of them had actually joined my list from one of my last couple of summits.
Wow.
Or no, it was 12, actually 12. Yeah. So 12 of 34 had come to me through one of those micro audio summits.
That's that's almost a
Yeah.
third. That's a little over a third, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Six. Yeah.
And shout out to our friend Wendy Breakstone, who is the creator of the Micro Audio Summit system
Yeah.
that I use to grow my list. It is a really good system, and it's fun and works well, obviously. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's that. That's a little bit of, we could talk about it all day. How do you find people to sell to? How am I finding people to sell to? But that's pretty much it, as I'm growing my audience and list and then selling to them. And I
Mhm.
kind of think of those things as like 2 separate functions in my business. I'm growing my
Yeah.
audience and I'm selling to my audience. The main way I grow my audience is through the 2 ways, really, is through like all the autopilot things that I've been growing over the years, and then the in-time organic, like the summits.
Yep.
And then the way I sell to my audience is primarily email.
Email
So,
marketing.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think once you do build an audience of people, that kind of the way that I define it for myself at least is an audience to me is like a play. You go to lots of
Mm.
plays, you go to lots of shows,
I
the
do.
lights are down,
Hmm.
and the people on the stage really can't see the audience.
Hmm.
And then you build trust with them and they kind of come into a community with you where it's more like a backstage pass and you kind of have some back and forth. And those people that you build that know, like, and trust with, that respond to your emails, that send
Hmm.
you DMs, that tag
Yep.
you in things, that conversate with you on threads, those people ultimately, you know, begin to talk about you when you're not in the room and
Hmm.
share about you
Yep.
and eventually probably even join your program.
Hmm.
And I think that's just so powerful with building a
Yeah.
community and building trust.
Yeah. And just becoming known and
Mhm.
trusted. And liked, I guess. But to me, known and
Yeah.
trusted are the ones that resonate the most. I'm okay. I want people to like me, but it's not that
You cannot
important.
like me. It's
I
okay.
know. And you know what? You can not like me and buy from me. And that happens all the time too. And like, that's okay, because you don't have to
Yeah.
like me to learn from me and make money from what you learn from me.
Yeah. So, how do
Hmm.
you sell one offer over and over without getting bored? We talk about this sometimes, selling,
Hmm.
having that same messaging. So, how does that work for you? I know how it works for
Yeah.
me, but I'm interested in high ticket programs specifically.
Hmm.
How do you do
Yeah.
that?
Hmm. Yeah, I think part of it is just my personality. I
Mhm.
enjoy routine. I've always enjoyed routine.
I
Like
love it.
when I work out with a trainer, for example, I remember
Mhm.
saying to Steph, who I was training with for a while, like, just so you know, I don't mind if we do the same thing like almost every workout. And she was like, really? Most people want like a lot of variety. And I'm like, no, like if you want to have like 3 different routines that we cycle through, like I just really am here for the accountability. Like I don't have to have like a fresh, exciting routine every time. So I like doing the same thing over and over and optimizing it, as opposed to like
Yeah.
doing a lot of different things. And there's not like, that's just my personality. There's also people who are super successful in business who do it differently and like to try a
Mhm.
lot of things and before they land on something that works, and do that for a while. So, but I think, just like with all of my students in my audience, it comes down to like 2 things for me. It's about income and
Mhm.
impact.
Yep.
Um, I'll talk about the impact first. But I think to be honest and lay our cards on the table, I think for a lot of us, the income is maybe the biggest motivator, but obviously we want to make an impact as well. We want the income to come from something that we're doing that does some kind of good or is helpful, I should say, like, to
Yeah.
people in the world. So people are buying HLC and they're loving the course and they're getting great results. And that's like super motivating. And when I see all that happening, it's like, to me, I'm like, why would I go sell something else?
Yeah.
Like I see people are loving it and it's changing the way they do their business and their content and it's helping them get clients and they're so happy. Like, why would I now say, okay, I'm going to go do something else instead of continuing to sell this program to other people that also need that? So I guess that's part of it. And I believe in like this entrepreneur kind of like ripple effect. And that was a term that was coined by Kay Putnam, my former content client. But I think like because I work with a lot of self-improvement and health and wellness coaches, like the work that they're doing really helps people in a lot of different ways. I mean, it literally helps like heal people in different ways. And I think that's so amazing. So I also feel that impact, the impact that I have
Hmm.
on them because of the work that they're doing with me that I'm teaching them how to do helps them reach people that need their help. And that's pretty amazing. So I'm very motivated by that. And then income, I think I'm motivated by the money that comes in because it supports my family and helps us, put a roof over our head and do fun things and buy dog treats and do the things we need to do. So
I love
a
Rue.
hundred, yes, yes, where is she? So 100 students, enrolled in my program means that I generated $100,000 close to it
That's
with
amazing.
HLC. Actually, it's more because of the payment plan. So like that number is still climbing all the time. And to me, that's like a miracle that we're able to do this in the online space and that I'm able to do this in a way that
Hmm.
is, again, I'm not like fooling anyone. I'm teaching like a real strategy that actually works and, creates like, tangible results for people, which I think is so great. Not that there's anything wrong with teaching things that are more intangible. It's totally okay. A lot of my students do.
Hmm.
But it means I don't have to go out and, get a job. It means we get to go on vacation, more
Yeah.
often than if we didn't. It means I can save for retirement. So that is very motivating. And I guess I've strayed a little away from your original question, which is doing the same thing over and over again. But to me, that's how I make money. If I
Yeah.
try to do different things all the time and not sell the thing that's already working, that I've already figured out how to message and how to sell and how to get results for people so I can get the case studies and all that kind of thing, then I always feel like I'm starting from scratch. And to me, that's not a way to build a sustainable business that brings you a lot of income.
Yeah.
So I think for me, just like doing the same thing over and over again means income and means impact. And that's just, yeah, that's how I see it. So,
Something I've noticed
um,
over the years with this thought of selling, the same offer. Obviously, I have lots of different things in the membership, but the thing that sells it is the fact that you get the Pinterest course. That's what people want.
mhm,
So I sell the academy knowing that people want the Pinterest course. And once they get inside and they realize, oh, this is so much more than what she initially had said, and like these resources are great, and these are things that have come straight out of their mouths of like, oh my
mhm,
gosh, I've never learned something like this, or I've never been able to access resources at this price, or get support from course creators like this, or get results like these. It's that kind of ripple effect, like you said, over time of seeing the actual impact in the business owners' lives, but then also beyond that, knowing that other people's lives are impacted by the work that those people are doing.
mhm,
And that's so powerful. And I first heard that and thought about that in 2020 from a gal named Lila in a circle I used to run in.
mhm,
And it really kind of changed my perspective at the time of like why
mhm,
I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not doing what I'm doing just to make money. Money's actually not a big motivator for me.
mhm,
I love to have nice things.
mhm,
I probably live a very comfortable life. You know, I do live a very comfortable life and my
mhm,
girls are very, very fortunate, but
mhm,
that's not the motivator for me. The motivator for
mhm,
me is the impact in other
mhm,
business owners'
mhm,
lives. And
mhm,
and also right along with that is um every time you sell this course to someone else, they're going to
mhm,
have a different experience and have
mhm.
different problems that your course is solving and different experiences that they're coming with,
It's so
which gives
true. Yep.
you more perspective in order to continue to thrive. It's like more fuel to continue to sell it.
100%. That's exactly right. And again, I feel like the way to continue to get that feedback and optimize what I'm doing in the course and to be able to make it even better so I can help more people faster and all that kind of stuff and see those different perspectives that people are coming in with and hear their stories and how it impacts and write those case studies and everything. To me, the only way to do that is to stay offering the same offer so that I can see
Yeah.
that trajectory.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I really haven't sold anything actively else in the last year and a half, and I don't really plan to.
Yeah.
Um, my Pinterest course is still available and people do buy it.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of other mini courses that people sometimes find and buy, but I'm not focused on marketing them. And therefore, obviously, I'm not making as many sales of them, which is fine. But yeah, it's all doing one thing for this long and I'm going to do it again, like next
Mhm.
year. I'm not changing things. I don't think anyway, who knows, but,
Yeah.
um, is to me that again, it comes down to that word optimize. And that's what you were
Mhm.
describing is optimizing. And you're in that example you were giving, you're optimizing like the student experience through it.
Mhm.
Um, so, how do you optimize something if you're doing something new all the time? And again, I
Mhm.
know some people do that and they love it and that's totally fine. Like I know some friends in business that love doing new things all the time and
I
that's just not
struggled.
how I do it.
Yeah, I struggled big time when I was trying to do more than one
Mhm.
thing, or like more than one business, or I just don't have the brain capacity to handle it. And I want to do what I do so well that it really
Mhm.
does need all of the time that I have to dedicate to it. So
Yep.
if there is anything else I want to do, it should be just refining what I already have and making it better, or maybe adding on
Yep.
new offers, which I am adding on a new offer for 2025.
Okay.
Um, but that's been a long time coming.
Hmm.
People have been asking me for that for years, and I've just been like
Right.
putting it
Like this
off.
story. Right. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I also think there's a big difference. We're off on a little tangent, but there's a big difference in my opinion with like creating an offer because you get a wild hair about it and you like
Yeah.
cancel your plans and spend the next 2 days creating a new offer. There's a big difference between that and a situation like what you're describing and what I experienced here, where
Yeah.
for years
With
people were
HLC.
asking me to help them solve this.
Hmm.
And I finally was like, all right, I'm going to do the pivot, finally. Right. So,
I love it. I love that for
yeah.
you. Okay, tell me
Yeah.
about
Thanks. Mhm.
a couple pieces of content. Do you have any content or a few pieces of content that really just convert higher, at a higher rate than the rest? Or have
Mhm.
you found like collections of content within your ecosystem that you're able to share and it just either sells people onto the email list or sells
Mhm.
people into the course?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that generally my approach is that, and this is how I teach it in HLC too. I just realized I was thinking about it in terms of my marketing, but my marketing is HLC because HLC is a system that I personally used. My approach is that it's like the collective of all the different pieces of content that people need to be ready to buy. So the concept
Mhm.
is inside HLC, I teach the 9 and 2 content pillars, and these are the 9 types of content that people need in order to feel ready to buy. And I teach that and I teach how to figure out the topics that are specific to your audience and your
Mhm.
offers and all that kind of thing, and then how to create it. So I think that people don't really buy from one thing. I think they buy from like the aggregate of your body of work. And
Yeah.
so having a small but mighty tight body of work is what we create because they need that. And then we repeat those messages. That being said, I will say that people do really resonate with my blog posts and my content that I like repurpose for my blog posts because that's again part of my system
Yeah.
where I'm talking about approaching blogging like a coach or a service provider that is selling your own services and offers, not like a blogger. So I
Yeah.
often say like you'll hear me say you're not a blogger, you're a coach with a blog. And there's a big difference. And a lot of my things that I teach and talk about in my free content roll out from that
Mhm.
because there's a difference with your strategy and how many posts you have to post and how often you have to post and whether you need a lot of formatting and, graphics and SEO and, all sorts of things. If you're a blogger and you're going to monetize that way versus if you're want to have a blog that sells your coaching offers, two totally different business models.
Yep.
So once I started talking about that a lot, and now I'm kind of like known for that, people really resonate a lot with that. So I will say that is something that people love. And then they also they love it when I dig into like specific corners of conversion friendly writing. So for example, I wrote a post a while ago, a blog post about how to avoid killing your conversions by being in expert brain mode, which is like when
Mm.
you know a lot about your topic. And so you sort of use a lot of jargon and lingo and you kind of forget, what it was like to not know about it. there's a
Yep.
lot to that to unpack, so I won't get into all of it, but people love that. And because there's so much to unpack there, it's created tons of really high converting content for me by talking about that topic and also what to do to solve it and whatnot. And we solve it a lot, obviously, inside HLC, hands-on. But yeah, I mean, overall, I would say like I really do believe that it's the collection, the aggregate of seeing multiples of your messages and seeing them multiple times so that they hit the right way at the right time for people that creates people that creates the desire and the trust that they need to be ready to buy at the moment that they buy. So
Got it.
kind of both. I have some messaging that has really landed, but also I do think it's like the aggregate of your body of work. So
I noticed, I've noticed something similar. So I've actually had, and I actually need to get this person on a Zoom call and do like a video feedback session with them.
mhm.
We get like a testimonial out of it or something.
Yeah,
Because I
like a case
started with
study.
her.
Mhm.
Yeah, I started with her. She bought yearly last year right after launch, like 2 weeks after launch. She bought a
Mhm.
yearly plan and emailed and was like, hey, I was going to buy during your open window and then I just forgot. Can I still buy and get the bonus?
Mhm.
And I didn't book out the 10 spots. I actually booked out nine. So she would have been the 10th.
Oh, how
And I gave
interesting.
it to her.
Yeah.
And now a year later, she's actually pivoting. Um,
Hmm.
I told her she needs to take your program actually because she's pivoting into health coaching
Hmm.
and she's going to use her blog as, a way to do that. So
Yeah.
her Pinterest account, though, with all the strategies and everything we worked on last
Hmm.
fall and
Hmm.
winter, is just pumping off right now with all of her content from the blog that she's going to be retiring.
Oh,
I
okay.
know.
Yeah. What
And I
was the
was just,
topic? What was her
like
topic? Was she blogging about?
cocktails and mocktails and like recipes for fall and winter and like party
Ah, okay.
planning for
Mm.
like dinner
Yeah.
with friends and things like that. So it,
Yep.
it was like very luxurious and like high end and beautiful. Her husband's a chef.
Yeah.
They
Oh.
make beautiful recipes and things.
Is she someone we met on Clubhouse?
No, but you know who
Okay.
she is because she's been in our lives. Her
Oh.
name's Tony.
Oh. Okay. Hmm.
Um, yeah. So, she came to me I mentioned this. I'm a little
Hmm.
tired. I mentioned this because she came to me after binge watching like 20 of my YouTube videos. And I was just like,
Yeah.
you're ready
Yeah.
now. Okay, let's
You
do
your
it.
your channel is so bingeable. So I'm not surprised at all. I'm not like, really? Of course she did.
She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I started watching your YouTube videos and then it led me to your blog and then I was on your email list and I was reading your
Yeah.
emails and then I
That's
was
how it
reading your
works.
guides and then
Yep.
it was just like
Love
a
it.
snowball effect for her. And she's like, I'm just convinced I need to be in the program. So,
Hmm.
anyways, can I join? And I was like, yeah, of course. And I get that a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Hmm.
agree. It's a body of
Yeah.
work, not just one or two things.
Yeah, it is. I just did a call with a bonus call, and one of the things we were talking about because this woman, my student inside HLC, has published 9 posts, I think now, of her HLC content. And so we were talking about different ways that she can interlink them because what I
Yeah.
also want people to be doing is making it super easy for people to binge your blog post. Because if you're writing 12 um, very strategic, high converting pieces of content,
Yep.
which is what we do in HLC, you want people to keep reading. And so one of the best ways to get them to keep reading is to link things in a way that makes sense. Like not just at the bottom of the post where you say, like, here's some things you might be interested in reading, but
Yep.
really like thinking about how does this post relate to this post and how can I say, hey, if you want to learn more about that, come over here and read this one and getting it, really having it happen. So
I love
so
that.
anyway, tangent, but yeah, good stuff. Yeah.
I
You want
love
to
interlinking. I just sent one of
bingeable.
my content clients an email this morning with suggestions now that they have published some of the blog posts I've written for them.
Mhm.
Okay, I
Yeah.
have a list of questions and I lost it. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Oh,
I have one more. We're at the
okay.
end.
Okay.
So, how were you expecting the journey to go versus what it's been like? And I think we talked about this last December when you were here. Um, what surprises have you had so far?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I went from like creating the course, hoping like that I'm right, that there's people in my audience who want this, who want me to teach this and want to do it this way, to the point over the summer where I had enrolled 100 students. Now I have 134 or whatever it is. It might be 137 now that I think about it, but
Yeah.
and growing. And I think that the biggest thing that surprised me is that I really um the thing, how much people already understood the value of long form content and blogging in their business. And some of it might be a little bit of not luck on my part because it's skill to like know what the trends are and whatnot, but this is a time in our online business development where a lot of people are seeing, less impact from social media, less reach, things like that. And they're really turning back to long form content, blogging. People are sick of a lot of short form content. They want to go deeper with people that they want to learn from and buy from. So my audience, I was actually surprised. I thought there was going to be a lot of pushback. I thought they were going to be like, no, I don't want to write blogs. I want to do reels. Like that was
Yeah.
a story I had in my head. But actually they want to write. They do. My audience, my people, they want to write. They know a lot and they want to share it, but they want to share it in a way that feels like when people read it, they're going to buy, not just sharing, not just like a Dear Diary, this is what happened in my life this week kind of blog, or even anything in between where you're writing about something that maybe you think is really cool, but no one else cares about.
Yeah.
They want to write, they love writing. They also want to make sure it's going to convert, right? They want to have the content on their website so people trust them. I didn't get as much pushback on that. I thought people were going to be like, no, I'm just going to blog on Medium or I'm just going to do mini blogs on LinkedIn. And I get that sometimes, but most people were like, absolutely, I want it on my website. Like that's where it needs to be.
You should.
Um, and also they want to repurpose it over and over. They understand now, and maybe I've helped them understand this, but that repetition is what creates sales.
Yeah.
And it's not actually pumping out new content all the time or fire hosing your audience with new content. It's really about repeating the same main messages. So HLC is about figuring out what those main messages are, writing them, and then repurposing them and repeating them.
Yep.
And like I said, I didn't really get pushback on that. So all these things that I was afraid I was like, oh, they're not going to get it. They're not going to want this. They want the sexy fast, like put out a reel and, get 20 people to buy from that reel. Right. They're going to think that's what they want. But actually these days people are like, no, like I want what you teach in HLC, which has been really amazing. It's been really good. So I'm excited to continue to help people to make that possible for themselves instead of having to be reliant on social media, which, whether or not it even works is sort of, up for debate. But, and, some of those, more hustle-based strategies. And, yeah, so those are the things that surprised me, I think, is that people wanted this more than I actually thought they would, which is good. It's a great surprise. I thought I
I
was going to have
think
to really convince more, I guess.
I think given that people were asking you for it for so long,
Yeah.
they just weren't ever sure that you were gonna, you know, flip that switch and be like, okay,
Mhm.
we're open for business.
Yeah, but I think my fear, I guess, is really what it was.
Yeah.
And it probably held me back for a little too long, in all
I
honesty,
think
was I thought I was afraid people would be asking me for it, but then when I put it out there, they'd be like, "Oh no, I actually really just want to do reels." You know what I mean? Like that's what was my fear, and it did not come true. It was actually the opposite, which is great, and I'm grateful.
I think that is 100% accurate. It's a
Yeah,
fear and it probably held you back for too long. I know
yeah.
that's what's held me back for so long with creating this program I'm working on right now.
Hmm.
And um it's just, you know, you
When are we
never
going to talk
know.
about this? When are we going to tell people about what this is all about? This new
I
program
don't
of yours.
know.
Okay.
I don't know. What's our upcoming live schedule look like?
Well,
We've got to
yeah.
actually schedule some lives. We do have a live
Mhm.
on November 6th because I mean we are coming to the end of this live today. But let's close you out. So if anyone wants to learn more about HLC, you're going to put some links in the description if it's
But of
not already
course,
there
but of course, yes.
for people to get on your email list. I think
Hmm.
um you've got a beautiful email strategy. I enjoy reading your emails. Everyone
Thank
should
you.
get on your email list and read your emails because there's so much
Oh,
more to the
thank you.
emails than just what you get in your blogs.
That's true.
Obviously, they should go to your website and read your blogs.
Hmm.
So tell us if people are interested, is there a wait list? What does that look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah. So high leverage content is actually closed right now to new students for the rest of 2024.
Okay,
So that's a little bit of a womp womp for people who are listening. They're like, I'm ready. But you can go to highleveragecontent.com and sign up for the waitlist. And when you do, you'll be
great.
among the first to know when we reopen to new students. And then in the meantime, yes, getting on my email list. So going to janaomedia.com/emails to sign up for my email list. You'll start learning a lot of the concepts right away anyway, by doing that. And I will put those in the description of this video after we finish going live. And then, yeah, so, and then for next week, if you're ready to talk about that. Oh, did you
Yeah,
want to
I
talk about,
think,
did you want to talk about our guests that are coming up, our very exciting special guests?
yeah, it's already live on the channel. You can go RSVP. We're going to have the co-founder of Tailwind here and his director of marketing to chat about where Tailwind has been, where they're going into 2025 and beyond. And we're excited to
Yeah.
host the co-founder of Tailwind, one of my
Yeah.
favorite Pinterest scheduling tools.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
this
big
is,
deal.
yeah, it is. Congratulations to you, Heather, for getting them scheduled to come on because I know they don't do a lot of like appearances
No,
like this, but your channel is such a huge factor in the industry these days because it's grown and you yourself are such an influencer in the industry. And I use that word in the best term in this in this case, that they wanted to come on, and that's so cool. So congratulations, it's quite the
thank
coup.
you.
Yeah, and I can't wait to be part of that interview. And then next week, I can't even remember what we were talking about for next
I
week.
think we're going to talk about is Pinterest paying people to pin?
Right. Yep.
We get this question a lot.
Mhm. Yep. We're gonna do yeah, we're gonna answer that. Is Pinterest actually paying creators directly? Like kind of a brief history of of Pinterest paying creators and how people are making money on Pinterest. Yeah,
Yeah. So we're going to
should be
get some
good.
lives scheduled in the coming days. The November 6th with Tanny, with Danny,
Danny. Tailwind Danny.
Tailwind
Tailwind
Danny is,
Tailwanny.
and Tailwind Susan.
Yep.
It's already on the channel. You can go and RSVP if you'd like to get notified for it. I'm going to be sending some emails about it to get people there live and maybe submitting some questions. So if you have questions related to Tailwind and Pinterest scheduling or e-commerce or anything like that, please let us know. And then, yeah, you'll be able to RSVP for some other upcoming live shows soon.
Perfect.
Great. Well, Jana, congratulations on enrolling 130 plus students
Thank
to
you.
date.
Thanks. Thanks.
Such
Yeah. I'm pretty
incredible work.
really proud and proud of those 130 humans. They're amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I've been in your house. I've sat in your office that you're in right now, and I cannot imagine 130 people trying to like
Right?
be there.
Right? Think about that. 130 people, and I'm teaching them how to create content. Like if they were all here, I would just be like blown away. And I am. I'm blown away
Yeah.
by the fact that 137 people or whatever it is have signed up to learn from me. So thank you.
Well, again, congratulations. It's a big feat, and I can't wait
Mhm.
to see where it goes in the future.
Thanks.
All right, we'll see you guys next week, same
Bye.
time, same place.
See you next week.
Great.
Thanks.
Awesome.